Hi, I'm Rick Reynolds, founder and president of Affair Recovery. And today I want to talk about reasons why not to confront the affair partner. I'm afraid by the time people see these videos, they may have already made this mistake, but if not, I really want to weigh in as to why you don't want to go there. I understand the temptation. There's many reasons that it feels like it would be a great idea. However, on the other hand, it has problems. So here are the reasons I think it's a bad idea. One, that other person, that affair person, has no shame. If they already knew your spouse was married, then they've come up with a bunch of justifications in their mind to justify their actions, i.e., you didn't have sex with them enough, you're crazy, and you confronting them and the way you act toward them only confirms what they already believe. Worse, if you take a classy approach to confront them, then they see you as a chump. And somehow that, you're weak and you're passive. So in my mind, there's really no way you can win in that situation. If it's information you're looking for, you may get something. But believe it or not, the way they pushed away their story is by coming up with all kinds of rationalizations, and to push away their guilt, they'll blame your mate and they'll lie. I remember one particular person when his affair person was confronted, she immediately started claiming it was sexual harassment. And not only was he confused, but his mate was confused. She's now thinking he's a predator, somehow taking advantage of people. He hadn't harassed her at all. But to push away her guilt, she's going to blame. They lie in order sometimes just to split you up, because if they really want your mate and you confront them, then they're going to say whatever they need to say to try to convince you to get rid of them. They'll lie to hurt you because you're the chosen one. And if they feel jilted in this situation, why would they tell you the truth? All they want to do is tell you whatever they can to confuse you and to hurt you in the same way that they're hurt. Another problem is they distort the truth. If they even began talking, if they were to talk about your mate's motives and what it meant to your mate, all they can share are the stories they made up in their own mind, their own kind of illusions as to what made them look good. Like he cared for me or she cared for me, they thought I was great. Again, that may not even be the case. So all you learn is something about them, but not about you. Another problem with confronting them is it elevates their significance. It's far more effective to treat them as if they mean nothing, as if they were a big O zero. And to do that, ignoring them, not responding to them, but moving on without them as if they had no impact, certainly communicates their lack of significance in this situation rather than verifying that somehow they did something. I understand it's natural to want to restore your sense of honor and self-right by attacking them, but James Gilliam, former director of mental health for the Massachusetts prison system, and author of Violence, observes, he says, I have yet to see a serious act of violence that wasn't provoked by the experience of feeling shamed and humiliated, disrespected and ridiculed, and that didn't represent an attempt to undo that loss of face. The purpose of violence is to diminish the intensity of shame and replace it as far as possible with its opposite, pride, thus preventing the individual from being overwhelmed by the feeling of shame. But trying to restore your sense of honor by expressing anger or whatever with the other person isn't going to help you. A far better way to restore your sense of honor is to channel, and this is something that Leslie Hardy talks about, it's channel your own inner Jackie O. Be classy. Don't even talk to them. Be above them. But another reason not to confront is, they could really be crazy. Trying to restore your sense of honor by maybe shaming them leaves them in a position then of needing to restore their sense of honor And what better way to do that than through their own acts of violence? What'll happen is, in their anger, they go crazy. And so they keep trying to transmit their pain. In their sense to self-right, they'll do all kinds of things to make themselves feel better at your expense. You have already suffered enough. And most likely, confronting the affair partner is only going to add to your pain. And you become a target for someone who already had no regard for you, because if they'd had any regard for you, they wouldn't have had an affair with your mate to begin with. Next, if you're even considering the possibility of saving your marriage, you want to shut that other person out of the relationship, not integrate their perceptions of what this was all about into your mix, because they don't know. All they can do is share kind of what it was for them, but they don't know your mate's motives any more than you do. Adding that into the mix only stirs things up. Another reason not to confront is you don't want to boost your mate's ego. Right now I'm working with a crazy situation where the affair person keeps contacting this guy's wife, and now I've got two women that are competing over this guy that's, a cheater. He's still in the blooming situation. And because of the fight, it's like making him, I think, at one level feel like he must be the bomb because these people are fighting over him. So you don't want to make your mate feel like they're all that simply by getting into a row with another person. Treat the affair person as they really are. They are meaningless in your situation. Move beyond them. You also don't want to complicate your recovery. If you're even thinking about potentially being back together, you don't want to make things worse. When confronted by the injured spouse, so often the affair person then responds by reaching out to the wayward spouse and tells them to get your stupid mate to leave me alone. Another reason not to confront them is you're not the one that has something to prove. And what I mean by that, frequently a betrayed spouse, they want that affair person to know that they meant nothing to their mate, that they were just being used. And in the affair person's mind, because they've already come up with their own justifications in how they see things, when you start trying to tell them that they didn't mean anything, or your mate tries to even tell them that, it just confirms their belief that you're crazy. In a sense, they will tell themselves, well, they're only doing that because their wife or their husband's making them do that. It doesn't change their story or how they see things. The best message you can give somebody who's been in a relationship with a wayward spouse is ghosting them. That's a far clearer message that they mean absolutely nothing. In reality, the person that has something to prove isn't you, but it's the wayward spouse. They need to show their remorse, prove that they're genuinely sorry over what they did to you. They need to show and prove that they choose you, not the other person. But that's not done by trying to diss somebody else. That's done in their actions, never to hurt you again, and in their own attempts to help you heal, and through their own empathy, through their compassion. Proving that they choose you is just done by their response to you. If you think that you're the exception, in other words, if you're the one who could probably go ahead and confront the affair partner or talk to them and it'll work out in your situation, most likely you were seriously deceived. There's a cognitive bias that's called super optimism. And the way super optimism works is you know for sure in your situation that things will turn out well if you do it. For instance, if someone says that you're entering a lawsuit and they tell you that there's only a 50-50 chance you'll win the lawsuit. Well, super optimism makes you look at that and go, well, that's a really good risk. You don't look at the fact that there's a 50% chance you may lose. Instead, you're going to believe there's an 80 or 90% chance you're the one who's going to win. I mean, that's why people even buy lottery tickets. In many ways, confronting that other person, that affair person, is very much like, it's that belief that you're going to win if you buy a lottery ticket. In my professional experience, rarely have I seen that work. You don't win when you just buy a ticket. You have to be darn lucky. Leave them alone and get your life back to healing.